Before we get to your scheduled video, please remember that likes and comments tell YouTube to promote our work to other people, and subscribing to the channel tells you when something new drops. You can also head to the link tree in the description to peruse my books, join us on Discord, or support us on Patreon. You can get episodes of Journey of Wrestling and Violent Profiles early, as well as a load of other treats. Even just $1 a month earns you a name drop for being cool. Thanks for listening, and enjoy the show. Greetings and salutations, my fellow terrible seaweed snacks. It is I, Eric J. Chucky, joined as always by the boy.
Hey.
This is the Two Nerds Podcast, and today we're talking about AEW WrestleDream. This is the podcast that almost didn't happen. We'll get into that. Before we do, I need to talk about who's cool. Topping that list, like the Lady Dimitrescu, is Rob and a guy from Ohio. There are golden, sexy, big vampire woman supporters, and that makes them extra cool. Meme-worthy. It's not a sexual thing. It's about power. Everyone else, who is also extremely cool, is going to be Passion Killer 711, DG, Destrucity KTL, on the tip of your tongue. That is, I believe, the collection.
Currently we're at 6, so...
I think it's 6.
There we go.
If I missed you, I'm so sorry. Let me know in the comments, and I will hurt myself for you. You know what doesn't hurt, though? Listening to a fun podcast between some nerds. That's what we do on this show. But if you are inclined to do something more flavorific of the spooky season, up today on Spotify should be, if not immediately right now, later on tonight, go ahead and search yourself the Thomas Austin Show. You can hear my dulcet tones talking about my top 5 favorite horror remakes. And I had a really good time guesting on the show. I really appreciate him having me on. And hopefully, if something like this happens in the future, you know, maybe we'll be there again, maybe not.
And that collaboration was all thanks to our Discord.
My guy, are you driving down the road on a two-wheeled scooter of electronic power? Because that segue, amazing.
No problem.
Yeah, a link for everything's in the description. I got books, too. They're good. But, yeah, that's all the preamble out of the way. We're here to talk about... And we talk so long about pay-per-views, so let's get into it. I have not been enjoying AEW for the last year.
You've seen the other AEW pay-per-views we've covered. You already know that. And if you haven't, congratulations. You're all caught up.
For the last couple of weeks, I've actually not even been in the room with the show. I think last week it gave me a small anxiety attack. I won't get into the nitty-gritty of why it's having such a profound effect on me.
We're going to get to that while we talk about the show.
Well, yeah, sure, but like you can look at our previous podcasts, or as the man said, join us on the Discord and look through a backlog of me bitching about bad booking. But my compatriot and the other person we live with were very interested in watching the show, so the show was purchased. We sat down and watched it.
The universe really didn't want that to happen.
No, fought us tooth and nail. This is the first one that's no longer on, we had Bleacher Report.
Yeah, we've been buying all of them on Bleacher Report because it was nice, simple, and easy. They don't do that anymore, though.
No.
So we had to go to the other options. The first other option was Triller TV.
Formerly known as Fight.
Better name for it. Not sure why they changed it. We tried that. They don't have an app on the Xbox, and that's how we watch things on the TV. Because we don't have cable, and the other option is I Chromecast it from my computer. We have a very advanced setup here at the Two Nerds household. I didn't want to do that because it meant I couldn't play WoW while we were watching the show. So
you can see the bar was set really fucking low.
I had heard. Listen, we didn't catch this live. We had plans that were far more important Saturday night. So Sunday, the traditional day for pay-per-views, is when we watched it. And I had heard nothing but very grim tidings about the quality of the show, so I wasn't excited. But Triller wouldn't take my money. This was after trying and failing to buy it on YouTube. Turns out I don't think we can do that in America. Triller wouldn't take my money. The other person in the house had to buy it because they wouldn't accept my credit card. The fools.
Well, no, technically it was your credit card company.
Yeah, they were working out for me like, yeah, this isn't the place where you buy AEW pay-per-views. This is not, no, mm-mm. If this guy goes to a new fast food restaurant, we flag it. This is not okay.
I'm keeping some jokes in my mouth.
There you go. That's where they belong.
So we did eventually sit down and watch it, and I about half watched it, 75%.
I would say you caught about 60 to 75% of the total pay-per-view.
Now, we didn't get to see the pre-show. I did catch one pre-show match later. So I'm just going to rapid fire through those real quick because we like to talk about them. Brian Cage got himself a singles title, the Ring of Honor World Television Championship, by beating Atlantis Jr. Good on you, Brian Cage, and good on you, Tony, for giving Brian Cage a title.
Brian Cage deserves more good things to happen to him. Swolverine rips.
Anna Jay beat Harley Cameron. I don't know why, but I'm glad that they had a thing.
I'm glad she got on the show.
The Acclaimed, unfortunately, defeated MXM. But I did want to mention that they brought out Rico to antagonize Billy Gunn.
That's perfect.
It was really, really clever. And Billy was like, he was upset. He's like, you tried to get me gay married to another man. No offense, Bowens. And Bowens is like, well, if you don't want to do it, that would be upsetting. And then in a surprise match that I literally only just learned about a minute before I pulled up the Wikipedia page, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Outrunners beat the Dark Order and the Premier Athletes.
The Outrunners' rise continues.
If we have to sacrifice my evil twin, Evil Uno, or probably my good twin, Evil Uno, for the Outrunners, I'm willing to do it. And see, that's why I think he's the good twin.
Yeah, that'll be it.
So then the actual show that we actually watched, do we want to get into the spoiler-free version of this?
I mean, if you want.
It'll be brief. From what I've heard on the internet, this pay-per-view was extremely divisive, which seems weird to me because I don't know what happened that would have been that divisive.
I only heard reports from one half of this divide before the show. I heard this was fucking bad. I guess I only caught the one half of the device.
So, what was your estimation of this show?
This was fine. It was fine. It was a perfectly mid-C pay-per-view.
Yeah, I will say this over the last one we watched. It wasn't an extended episode of Dynamite. It was a pay-per-view. Not a spectacular one, but honestly, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. It was fun. It was a good time. The wrestling was, as always with AEW, fucking peak.
So, this is something I need to mention. So desperate was I for wrestling content that at my companion here's behest, at his suggestion, I went out and explored other wrestling options. I went to CMLL because I do like Lucha Libre, and CMLL was bad. It had the budget of my local cable access wrestling show. They didn't even flash up names on the screen for one of the matches I tried to watch. It wasn't good. It was slow. Okay? So I swallowed my pride, not wanting to support, what's his name?
Noted prick Alberto Del Rio. No,
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember his current name. Fuck you.
I almost said Andrade El Idolo, and not him. He's like also kind of a dickhead, but not that bad.
No, look, there's levels to this shit.
He's their champion right now. I don't want to support that, but I have always preferred AAA when I'm looking at Lucha Libre. So I checked on them just to make sure I wasn't taking crazy pills. And no, yeah, they're still really good. Better production, like not quite as good as AEW, but close enough. And the action was really solid. I could tell who each wrestler was, even though I don't fluently speak Spanish. And I had a good time watching the one match I watched before I cut myself off. Then I watched, believe it or not, the CW debut of NXT. And you want to talk about divisive opinions? I've got a controversial statement for you. Julia sucks.
I don't know who that is.
She's this Japanese wrestler that everybody has been so excited about for like a year. WWE signed her like a year ago, and she's been doing stuff in Marigold, and then she was injured for a small amount of time. This was like her NXT debut, her WWE debut. She's not good.
Yeah, but like the Revival also looks shit in NXT, and FTR is good whether or not we get upset at them.
Sure. I'm not saying I'm never going to watch her again, but man, you want to not hype Backlash me? That would be appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have no hype, so there is no Backlash, is the only difference, I think.
I watched the rest of the show, most of the rest of the show. I skipped the promos. I don't know who those people are. It was fine. It was fine. But man, AEW, as dumb of a tagline as it is where the best wrestle.
It might not be, as I said in the Discord, where the best book, but it is where the best wrestle.
Let's do this case by case because I don't want to waste too much time on preamble. So we start with Hangman Adam Page fighting Jay White.
Because Hangman Adam Page is a psychopath now, and Jay White just got back from injury and needs to fight someone.
I believe the injury was either kayfabe or not caused by Adam Page.
I don't know that that's true. I think they would have mentioned it. The big thing they were talking up in the match was that Jay White blamed Hangman for not winning the Owen Hart tournament for the title shot.
Okay.
He blamed Hangman for that because Hangman beat him to knock him out of the tournament. I think is how they went through this. And I fine. In reality, the actual order of events was that this was vengeance for Hangman trying to kill Juice Robinson. And I like it when a member of the Bullet Club Gold stands up. Yes, I am calling them that. Fuck you. Stands up for their compatriots.
I don't like heel Hangman. I'm not saying he's not doing it well. This is one of the most well curated storylines and characters in AEW. I don't like it.
This most recent leg with Jay White it does feel a little more floundery.
Yes.
But he's trying to find a path forward after the peak fucking fiction that was the entirety of the apex of the Swerve feud. Like, if you want to hear my opinion on that shit, go back and listen to the podcast where that happened. I do a big rant about it. But, like, it's good shit. Heel Hangman rips. It's great. He does such an amazing job. He did, however, lose.
And I didn't think this match ever really hit second gear.
I like
for going on for 16 minutes.
I like the finish because it made Jay White. Oftentimes, when a heel wrestler's plan, and this is two heel wrestlers fighting, Jay White was getting cheers because he came back from being away for a while and he was defending his friend and Hangman Satan to some parts of the audience, and he actively went, "No, don't cheer me. I remember what you guys used to boo me. I remember." So, like, he chose for this to be two heels fighting.
Jay White is such a bad promo. I am 99.9% sure he was trying to say, look at how far we've come. You used to boo me and now you cheer me because my cause is so righteous. And he fucked that up so hard that they started booing him.
I don't know that Jay White's a bad promo, but I will say I've never heard him give an amazing one. The best I've ever heard from the man is, that was perfectly passable. But I completely lost my point.
I'm so sorry. Jay White is a heel versus heel match. You like the finish a lot.
Oh, thank you. I like the finish because oftentimes when a heel wrestler's plan is make the face so angry they make a mistake and you can win, all that means is make the face so angry they then beat the shit out of you and you lose. And no, it worked this time.
Yeah.
Jay White fucking bamboozled him.
We're going to forget to say it, I'm sure, because it's us, but there was actually a lot of that in this pay-per-view. A lot of stuff that was like, oh, wow, that never works.
You know, there were quite a few.
Yeah, and I
you never see that?
Mm-hmm, yeah. For being as long as it was, this match wasn't much of anything for me. Anything else you have to say about it?
I'm trying to think if I can just give a blanket statement up front to save some time. There were no bad wrestling matches on this card. In terms of the actual action, the wrestling, none of these matches were at all bad.
There were a couple that were a little underwhelming, but
yeah, some didn't have the highest of highs. Some weren't. They didn't put all the pieces together, but they were all competently and well executed pro wrestling. So most of what I'm going to be talking about is going to be booking, storyline, and like the one or two false moments, off moments that you have in any wrestling match. But generally, well wrestled, just didn't blow my skirt up. I do love Hangman, and I like Bullet Club Gold, so...
I love Juice Robinson and my sons.
And Jay White, he is a member of Bullet Club Gold. Or do you prefer Card Blade?
I prefer Cardblade.
Okay, that's fair.
Sincerely.
That's valid.
He came into this company, and I wanted him to be one of those Juice Robinsons where I hated the guy. He made a bad first impression, but then I came around on fuck this guy. He's a great seller. I'm sure he's a nice guy. Seems like a relatively safe pair of hands. But you're show poison for me. You're gonna come out and you're gonna say something really stupid that's like a few notches above a bad Swerve promo.
Or you're going to be in a wrestling match and just froth.
So much foam and spit. Hydrate. And I wish we'd planned that so I could feel really clever about it. But instead, you're just my dear friend. Speaking of dear friends, I'm glad at the very least that Hangman didn't, finish his thing with Swerve and then, I don't know, get a manager and become a babyface for no reason. Like previous opponent to contender for the AEW Women's World Championship, Willow Nightingale, with Chris Statlander.
Yeah, I don't know why she went face. And especially now that, it's clear that her and Stokely Hathaway's falling out was kayfabe. I don't know why they went. I don't know why she went face. It doesn't make any... It just raises too many questions.
You went to all that effort to make her a decent heel. I believe you. And then you ball it up and go, nah, never mind.
They actually did that again later tonight. Anyway,
That's what they did with Christian and Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy also. So much effort was gone to have Jungle Boy be betrayed by Luchasaurus and the evil Christian. And then he went heel a month later. So goofy. However, what wasn't goofy was this match. It reminded me why I like Mariah May. She's been languishing in a weird feud that I don't fully understand, with a weird gimmick that I don't fully understand, and short matches against talent that's not very good to pad out her resume. And then she fought Willow, who is maybe the best female wrestler in AEW.
No, that's still Toni Storm. Second.
I'd argue with you about that, but I respect your opinion. Tony's got a better gimmick. I'll say that much. Man, they put on a really good match. Almost 11 minutes. They really used all of it. I was really sent up.
I could have had more of this match. I could have had less of the previous match if it meant more of this match.
If it wasn't for the triple threat and the main event, this might have been my match of the night. It's that good.
It was certainly fun. I don't think it was my match of the night, just because I don't... A lot of these matches are going to suffer from having a fucking, 2-week build or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
You guys got to sort out your fucking pay-per-view schedule.
It's so...
There's 9 months between the one before All Out and All In and All In, and then there's All In, All Out, and WrestleDream in the period of, a fucking cup of coffee.
Well, the thing is All Out happens, and then you have a regular to extended 4 to 5 week pay-per-view cycle before WrestleDream, and it's like they were all just sort of chilling, and then did the ADHD, my term paper's due today.
We forgot to book the pay-per-view, oh no!
Which, there were extenuating circumstances, a lot of that bears mentioning. We'll get to it a little more in the main event.
Some of this was nothing. This... But, Willow really sold this.
Yes.
I believed Willow Nightingale in this feud. She did also lose.
But, I didn't expect her to win. I think there was only one match that kind of surprised me, and it was the previous one.
All right, a full disclosure. I would have been upset if she won. And I love Willow Nightingale. I think she definitely deserves to be women's champion. But that would have been... No, don't do that.
It would have been, so they're brooming Mariah May.
Oh,
Understood.
So this shit just didn't work, huh?
Yeah, this kind of brought me back in on Mariah May, who I think is a good wrestler, and now that she's doing her regular voice, I enjoy her promos. One of the few guys on the roster that I'm really here for, two of them, honestly. Jack Perry, defending his TNT championship against Katsuyori Shibata. Katsuyori has a great gimmick right now with the translate thing.
Yeah, with the phone?
Brilliant.
That's great.
Jack Perry is the best I've ever seen him. Talk about a glow-up. We've said it a million times.
You can go back and listen to us talk about what a fucking terrible heel Jack Perry is before the incident and him going to Japan. And then he went to Japan and drank fucking good wrestler juice the entire time and came back as a fucking god. He's so good now.
Yeah, he's really great. This match wasn't the best. It got into second gear and then ended.
It was very, very short.
Yeah.
It was a sub 10, right?
Yeah, 9 minutes.
Okay. But, like, mostly I'm sure this was here so that you had Shibata on the Antonio Inoki pay-per-view.
Yes, that was definitely part of it. And I feel like this is setting up other stuff. Or at least I did until after the match when a clown car emptied.
This is that thing I talked about earlier. So, after the match, Jack Perry is... This is where all the returns happen, yeah?
Yeah, he I forget how he won, but it was one of those. That usually doesn't work.
Yeah. It was one of like the few. There's another one later. Was this the one with the pin from the submission hold?
I think so. Yes.
Where Shibata had him in a headlock, and Jack Perry leaned back to get both Shibata's shoulders on the mat, so he had to break the headlock to kick out, and he didn't, and it was a 3 count and he won. That never works.
Yeah. Great job, Jack.
Jack, I think, was attacking Shibata after the bell, and Daniel Garcia comes out to defend Shibata, his friend. I guess they're pals.
I said this in the Discord. It's not really.
Didn't he hang out with a Hook? Since when does he hang out with Daniel Garcia?
He was conglomeration adjacent.
Sure, but Daniel Garcia isn't in that.
Well, no, they both kind of were. There's something they did. I think that he did stuff with Shibata there for a while after the Joe thing fell apart.
Anyhow, the announcer should announce that they're friends, and he's coming out to defend his friend. And then MJF comes out and kills Daniel Garcia because MJF is the world's pettiest bitch.
Cuts a promo on the man's face, interrupts himself mid-promo to keep punching him more. Beautiful.
Just A+. So glad to have MJF back. I'm so relieved. My boy is home.
His hair looked really good, too.
And then Adam Cole returns, and he's a face again. United, Undisputed who? Adam Cole a heel? What are you talking about, bud? It's 2022.
I feel like they're going to try to cobble together an excuse.
There isn't one.
But, like, the reality is
straight fairy dust.
Human cinnamon roll, Austin, whatever his last name is,
recovered from the 9th career-ending injury from the fucking Final Destination demon that's chasing him.
From his unique disorder, inexplicable explosion foot syndrome. And everyone's really glad to see him back.
Oh, look, I'm so glad Chugs is back. I'm so glad he's a face again. I understand he probably prefers to be a heel. Being a bad guy's fun. But you're a fucking cinnamon roll of a human being. I have trouble believing you as a bad guy. But you turned on MJF and ruined his life, and then ruined his life and ruined his trust so much that he went heel again. And then you came back as a face. Like, see?
You know what all we need, though, is for Jeff Jarrett to endorse him. Jeff Jarrett is the anchor around which faces and heels turn in this federation now.
He is the baby face or heel decider now.
Yes. Hangman was a face, a mean one, but a face. He was right against Swerve. And then he attacked Jeff Jarrett for no reason. Heel, fine, done. Turn done.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it was a really good segment.
Look, memes aside, I'm super glad they're both back.
Yeah.
They're going to do something. They're going to finish that feud. It's going to be completely fucking nonsensical because everything is topsy-turvy. Space is warped and time is bendable, but I don't care. It'll be fun and good.
Our next contest, a triple threat match. Ricochet, Will Ospreay, and Konosuke Takeshita for the International Championship. This was nearly 21 minutes of orgasmic, flippy, hard-hitting, head-dropping joy.
Yeah, probably my match of the night in terms of wrestling and story combined. I think the story in the main event is better, but in terms of the combination, the full total wrestling package, this was it. This match rips. This is great.
I would love to highlight how the finish tied together so many running themes we've been seeing for years in AEW in a way that made a lot of stuff that you and I have both decried work. We had the Ospreay doesn't want to use the Tiger Driver. We had the can you or can't you trust Don Callis in any given situation.
The answer is always can't.
We had the Screwdriver.
The Screwdriver, which has been a running bit for, I think, a couple years now.
Yeah. And honestly, it just... I can't explain it. It came together and worked for me this time.
This was an excellent tie off to a bunch of different parts of that storyline. It was obviously, I mean, you heard who's in the fucking match. It was astoundingly good wrestling. And the right guy won.
I agree. And this is who I assumed would win. It's who I hoped would win. Konosuke Takeshita needs a title.
Will Ospreay just doesn't.
No.
He's fucking Will Ospreay. It's fine. I think bringing him, I think he's bigger than the International Championship.
Yes.
This is a great time to transition him to the world title scene. But he really put some shine on the title by having it and by, showcasing it and having a bunch of really cool matches for it. And Takeshita beat Will Ospreay and Ricochet in the same night.
Without any help from Don Callis or Kyle Fletcher.
At all. He did it all himself.
I don't even care. I'm glad for Takeshita. I think he's great. I think he's the future.
This is the final piece of the most absurd glow up in AEW history.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about a glow up, Konosuke Takeshita went from being a chip so blue I could use it as like a paint swatch.
Casual cinnamon roll enjoyer.
Yeah. To being a fucking cool motherfucker.
He's awesome.
He's so cool. Takeshita is so cool now.
All the parts of his gimmick that came together, the Alpha name, I love that they didn't make it too obvious where that comes from.
If you know, you know.
And it's not unobvious, but the announcers don't do that WWE thing of,
and they call him the Alpha because
it's just a thing, and the cool Oni mask and just everything.
The cool
awesome.
coat and the fucking cool Piccolo pants he wears sometimes. He's so fucking cool and like awesome now, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy for him, and I'm so happy because I like cool wrestlers. I like liking wrestlers, you guys. I don't know if that's obvious. And I'm really happy he won. This was the right call. Will Ospreay fan 999 on Twitter says this is the right call.
Yeah, that's saying something. So I hate Hologram.
You hate him. You hate him so much. If you go to if you go to the Discord, you can see so many reams of text about how much he hates Hologram.
I hate the stupid glowing H. I'm not gonna get too far into it. It's us and it's this podcast, and we're already getting toward the end, and we're only halfway through the card. So, typical end anyway. The reason I hate Hologram is because his gimmick is stupid. His non-gimmick is stupid. The fact that he was billed as the future of pro wrestling, the most technologically advanced wrestler that's ever been debuted, and he comes out in fucking gray tights with little reflective crap on him and a glowy glow stick H vest.
What I could politely describe as something I could put together to Joanne Fabrics in a Party City.
We live in a place where there's right down the road from each other, so yeah, we could just do that easily. We could construct our own hologram for probably about $30.
So, no, that's... Alright, so I don't hate Hologram. Hologram is a talented pro wrestler. This gimmick has a fucking ceiling on it. You will never get over as Hologram, brother. Now, I'm always happy to be proven wrong, but I'm pretty confident on this one.
The thing is, I looked away and looked back, and the man has a, spoilers, 15-0 record.
Yeah, and
people really like him.
Look, he will get over with kids. He might sell merch. He might move hologram masks. He might do all of that stuff. AEW isn't that kind of company. you have to actually get the core audience of AEW on your side as more than a fucking meme if you want to be top talent.
Well, and he backs that up by being a really good wrestler.
He is really good.
He's very
Look,
good.
if he can be hologram and talk, or get a manager who can talk for him, you just can't do it with half the pieces. You need to be able to promo.
And that is so much of an easy thing to just staple him to someone who can talk.
That's all you need to do. They just don't have all the pieces of it yet. You could, if you just give Hologram a manager who can talk for him, you know, what the fuck is Alex Abrahantes up to?
Probably going to WWE eventually.
Not for a while.
I don't know what his contract looks like, but, I need to be less harsh on this stupid fucking gimmicked motherfucker. I have nothing against the guy under the hood. I think he's a great talent. He's trying his ass off. I am slowly coming around on the Beast Mortos, although, like, he's just a jobber.
The Beast Jabos is not... He's fine.
He gets to win sometimes. I think he's got a more solid gimmick being a bull man. And I'm glad about LFI.
Well, they already did what they need to do for him. They've got him in LFI.
Yeah.
He has a manager who can do his talking for him.
Who is now Jake the Snake Roberts.
They stapled him to the best manager to do his talking for him.
He's the least governable man. He was born for the role. But this was a 2 out of 3 falls match. They gave the Beast Mortos one of the falls. First guy to pin Hologram. That's cool. Hologram otherwise won. I don't know why this was on the card. Look, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Look,
I am Jacobi Mugatu.
This was on the card because Hologram is, as much as I said, take what I said like 10 seconds ago, he is apparently super over, and they wanted him on the card.
All right.
I don't think he'll get to the top without someone being able to talk him or his manager or somebody. But I mean, at the very least, as a meme, people love Hologram.
We'll see where it goes, if anywhere. Things could be worse. He could be in a match against Darby Allin.
Hey. Brody King is not the one who needs to be ashamed of being in this match.
I don't think either of them had anything to gain, except for Darby Allin recovering from the severe rogering he received regarding his AEW championship shot. I'm swallowing a whole lot of stuff about how Darby Allin how his position and believability have been affected by the current goings-on. I'm swallowing that because I think they might be going somewhere with it. And that's in the service of a larger story. I can see this working. I will be saving this on a shelf. And if they don't go anywhere with this, if Darby Allin doesn't come out of this with a decent storyline conclusion, I will get this off the shelf and you will hear about it then. But for now, this match was to give Darby Allin a way to save some face. Yeah.
And to give him a pinfall victory over a guy he's never beaten.
He does have a bit of a rivalry with.
Yeah, like a pretty long one by AEW standards.
Yeah. I like Darby. This is unfortunate. Obviously, there were extenuating circumstances, which meant his WrestleDream contest against Bryan Danielson was not wise.
It was not fated to be. Obviously, they definitely plan to have him do that and have Danielson win and move on with Danielson's storybook career-ending reign. But the world is what the world is, so...
Yeah, it kind of is what it is. This match was... I was actually kind of tuned out during this and the next one. I can't comment on its quality, but...
like I said, perfectly well wrestled. Nothing on this card was wrestled badly. That's not the problem with any of this, if there is a problem. I enjoyed most of this show.
There was a reason for the bad booking, but that doesn't mean it wasn't bad booking.
Exactly.
Speaking of that exact sentence...
Oh yeah, this is my least favorite match on the card. And it's not remotely close.
I think in terms of a match, I caught more of this one. Like, the action was fine.
Oh yeah, the actual... Alright, we're speaking of the Young Bucks versus Private Party for the tag team titles. And this match was, again, wrestled quite well. The problem is, I would more genuinely believe that fucking Bear Country was going to win the AEW tag team titles. You know, the team that doesn't exist anymore.
They're still there. They're just harder and more savage now.
Then I would believe Private Party would win. I would believe that RJ City and, like...
Danhausen
were gonna win the fucking tag team titles more than Private Party would win. Private Party have been so unbelievably turbo fucked. You want to talk about what happened at Darby Allin? Times that by at least 5 is what happened to Private Party.
And over a period of several years, Darby Allin's issues only started at the beginning
Darby
of
Allin
this
is
one.
usually booked incredibly strong.
Yeah.
Impossible to kill, most resilient man in history, Darby Allin. Private Party have been booked as turbo jobbers since I've been watching AEW, and they got worse. They got the shit beat out of them so badly that they were pathetic. And then it happened again, like a week later. And then they got a tag team title shot. What the fuck? What world are we living in? These are the least believable contenders in AEW history.
I think the only move here that would have redeemed them would have been for them to win.
Oh, well, that's the thing. When they started the match, I thought there maybe was an outside shot that they were going to surprise me and do a humongous swerve I wasn't expecting and Private Party would win. That's bad because then there's just the champions are completely unbelievable as champions.
And I agree with that. Now, there's stuff you could do with that, but I don't think it's time for the Bucks to be over with, and I don't think that's a strong enough opponent to take the straps off of them.
But, like, if you had Private Party win, at the very least, that would be a big enough surprise that it would wash away what had come previously and give them a fresh start.
Yes.
But they did, and they made it worse. They didn't just have Private Party lose this, because they clearly lost. It's not a spoiler. That's more obvious than the sun coming up tomorrow.
Paulie dangerously.
But, like, they didn't just have them lose. They debuted new music for them, a new, more serious music, because the time for shots is over, says the team named fucking Private Party. They had a big emotional video package before they came out, where their trainer talks to them about how they keep dropping the ball and fucking up all the time, and they need to get it together and get their heads in the game and actually win a match for once. Says the team in the fucking tag title match at the pay-per-view. And then they came out, and then the Young Bucks interrupted their entrance to bag on them as complete fucking nobodies who have no chance of winning, who are mid-carders for life. Very nice, polite compliment on the part of the Bucks, by the way. These guys are mid-carders in the same way I am. And then they lost. Jesus! Did they shit in your bag, Matt?
They might be going somewhere with this. You know, so maybe they'll turn it into a storyline. A lot of times you got to beat a guy down real far before they make certain decisions.
They already were beaten down.
Yeah.
They didn't need to do all that. Like, look, if this turns around and Private Party ends up winning the AEW tag team titles off this, if this is the most beaten down into the fucking ditch to the highest of highs build, and Matt and Nick Jackson have decided to, like, lock in and put all of their heat behind Private Party, I'm here for it. I want to like wrestlers. But this was a shooting.
It was rough. And then they did an extended segment of one of them crying afterward, and then nothing happened.
Isaiah Cassidy just, like, literally sat in the middle of the ring and cried. Because, yeah, dude, what happened to him is kind of worth that.
You know what would have turned it around, though? Is if Okada came out and pointed and laughed at him. Because at least then it would be like, oh, they're doing a thing. No, it was just kind of awkward.
If you had to ask me, I think, as of next week, as of this Wednesday, Matt and Nick Jackson are moving on to new people, and we won't see Private Party again for a few months.
Who knows?
I hope that's not the case. I want to be wrong, but I'm actually upset about this.
Special shout out from a couple matches ago to Excalibur, who the camera caught for a brief series of picoseconds. Him, like, while seated, air humping at Tony Schiavone singing Will Ospreay's music, while Tony Schiavone looked like the Yes Dear meme. And I've never felt more seen and represented in pro wrestling.
In that moment, I am Excalibur.
Yeah, and I'm Tony Schiavone. And it was perfect. That honestly really raised my mood regarding the pay-per-view in general. I don't have a lot to say about Mark Briscoe defending the ROH title against Chris Jericho.
I think it was a simple story. They didn't have much time to build it because they forgot. They forgore. But what they did have, they did well. Mark Briscoe getting a win here is strong. Chris Jericho at this point in his career straight up doesn't need wins. The learning tree is the best gimmick of the last 10 years of his career minimum. I am only saying it that way to be conservative. And
the man of 1,004 holds was probably better.
That's fair. But I like this match. It was well wrestled, like everything was, and had a good, solid, emotional core story for being so short a build.
I would agree. So that takes us to our main event.
Yep. Otherwise known as the saddest shit to ever happen.
I don't know about that. I think this was just...
This wasn't uncomfortable, like, say, the end of Swerve Hangman, but this was the old lion going out on his shield. This was the way Bryan Danielson clearly wanted to end his full-time career.
I fully believe that no matter what journey he might have taken, had his injuries not been as bad as they are...
This would have been the match that happened at the end of it.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it happened when it did. The only thing I might have hoped for would have been another pay-per-view between this and the original bagging incident.
Just to, like...
Let it breathe a little more. But the actual match was some of the best I've seen from both of these guys, and these are not slouches.
No, the American Dragon, widely hailed as maybe the best pro wrestler alive. Or the best pro wrestler ever, depending on who you ask. And Jon Moxley, anyone who says Jon Moxley is a bad pro wrestler is huffing copium.
I have been notoriously against Jon Moxley for most of his AEW career. I wanted the Mox of old, the pre-WWE Mox, the guy I'd seen in promos, and he's not been giving me that. He had some issues he was struggling with in the first place. You know, when I started watching AEW, he had a couple of missteps that really soured me on him as a person. But moreover, he just doesn't give 100% in his matches and in his promos. Now, this is a guy who, out of contract, has put this entire Fed on his back and gone, yeah, I'll get you through until, you're set.
Your next piece is ready. When things are rough and there's trouble in AEW, Tony Khan breaks the glass, and behind the glass is Jonathan Good.
And the glass is sticking in him, and he's all like gross and bloody from the glass, and he's like, hey.
And Renee Paquette swoons, and he goes out and handles business. John Good is reliably a very solid guy to put your company on, and he does that shit when he doesn't need to, when he could easily be justified in not doing so. So he's earned a lot of my respect by being a stand-up dude for the boys and for the company that I'm watching.
I made a statement in our Discord that this is the first part of the K-turn to get me to enjoy Jon Moxley the way I wanted to when I first started watching AEW. And I don't think that's true. I think this is the third part of the K-turn. It's just that we've never gotten past part 2 without him changing his mind and speeding off in another direction.
This current gimmick, the as he put it, one true king of AEW, the new BCC as a whole, is the best work I've seen from him.
I agree.
Like, I'm counting not just Jon Moxley. This includes all of the Dean Ambrose stuff, the Shield. This is the most compelling shit I've seen from this guy ever.
To the point where I had to stop and, go, all right, why am I not entertained by this? Like, look at this on paper. If this was anyone but Mox, if this was a time before Mox lost my buy-in, you would be eating this stuff up like soup, like good soup.
Because it is good fucking soup.
So what's the deal? And I just kind of forced myself to reset, which took a tremendous amount of internal effort, mental, psychological, whatever you want to call it, and just take this match for what it was. And he, for, I don't know, for a while he's been doing this anyway, but it was another contest where he was a very consistent and capable wrestler. It wasn't just his usual brawl and, skewer to the forehead kind of thing. He's been showcasing his actual talent for the sport. He did his finisher twice, and it was the same move both times.
And it was executed really well.
And I haven't seen that in I don't know how long. It was compelling. And the storytelling between these men, former best friends turned on. Shout out to Ricky Martin guy, who I guess is like the front man of a local band, for giving some extra oomph to the fuck you, that's your fucking brother. And Mox going, fuck me, fuck you. But like this mugging, this, what kind of Shield-esque or probably more what the faction with all the masks was supposed to be, Retribution in WWE? I don't remember. They're taking over. And so long as the higher power isn't too stupid, I think it's got legs. And I mean, you're making Marina Shafir look cool. Even the cats agree that you're making Marina Shafir look cool, and that is noteworthy.
This is not my observation. Jon Moxley killing Bryan Danielson and then bowing to him solemnly before sending his young boy Wheeler Yuta in to finish the job is the Infinity War ending for AEW.
It's really good.
This is the beginning of the dark era. Every single AEW champion is a heel. The good guys are on the absolute ropes. They just lost Dragon. What happens next bodes very well.